Nectar 3's pitch module is great for basic pitch detection and correction, but sometimes you want to dig a bit deeper and have a bit more manual control. iZotope has included a free version of Melodyne Essential with Nectar 3 so that you can dig a bit deeper into pitch correction and pitch manipulation. So in this video, we're going to take a look at using Melodyne Essentials to get up and running with the basics. Now, I'm going to call it up in Pro Tools. Some DAWs support what's called an ARA, Audio Random Access version, where you call up the plugin, just hit the space bar, and the audio is instantly transferred into Melodyne. I'm going to show you the manual way of transferring in case you need to do that, and if not, just hit the space bar to play and it'll be transferred. So for those of you using non-ARA versions of the DAW, this is where to start. The first thing is we want to choose the algorithm to use, and we have a choice of melodic, percussive, or universal, and automatic will detect on its own what is going to work best. But since we're working with monophonic vocals, melodic is what you want to choose. Now, there's a bit of file management available here. I'm going to transfer the audio in first and then show you where it is on the hard drive. So the basic idea is you hit the transfer button and then just play in the audio.
When the demons are gone and I'm left to myself to move on among faces of thieves and so many who grieve over everything or nothing at all.
Okay, so we'll transfer in that phrase, and there it is. These are called blobs, this representation of it. Now, the interface is fully scalable. You drag at the bottom right corner, and I'm just going to drag it down a bit so we can click in the bar ruler when we need to position things. And the idea is that the files are stored by default in the same project folder as the folder that you're working in. So if we click under here and I go Show in Finder, we'll see that these transfers are located in my Nectar 3 Explain folder, and I have a subfolder for projects, then this folder, and a new Melodyne folder was created, and then this transfers folder containing this transfer and some others that I did earlier. So back into Melodyne, we can hide this whole pane on the side simply by clicking under the Options menu and going Show Info pane. So once everything's transferred, you might want to maximize your screen space, and you can get rid of it like that. Let's start with some basic navigation. When you hit the spacebar for playback, audio will play back in your DAW, and on this track, the audio will play through Melodyne. Right now, we haven't changed anything, so it'll sound the same.
When the demons are gone and I'm left to myself.
Now, we can also double-click anywhere in the time ruler here and play back soloed from within Melodyne. So if this is in full playback mode, I can double-click here. And you can double-click at the top of the ruler as well. So even though the DAW is not soloed, this will give you a solo for this content that's tracked in here. Now, we can also use the arrow keys when we have a selection to step through the different blobs. So that's left and right arrow keys. Now, to select notes, we can obviously just click on them. We can rubber band select, and we can use the Command key to add to the selection for non-contiguous selections. And as well, we can hold down the Shift key and get what's called the snake, which is a kind of line that we can use to connect different notes. And again, it's a way of getting non-contiguous notes selected. Like that. I'm just going to click in the background now to deselect. Now we can drag the playhead left and right to scrub. We can zoom the display by dragging up and down. And we can also zoom by holding down Command and Option. We get a magnifying tool and dragging around an area, and that'll zoom in and out and get you to where you need. Now, if you want to scroll the display, we of course have scroll bars down here. We also have the hand tool, which allows you to scroll. But better than that, we have a shortcut. We can use Command with the Shift key to toggle the hand tool, and then we can scroll like that. And we can use the Command Shift key combination to double click on a blob to zoom in to bring it to full screen, and double click in the background to go back out. And we can do that on a selection. If we want to view that full screen, double click with Command Shift, and it'll zoom the selection to the full screen. We can drag in the lower part of the bar ruler to create a cycle range, and you'll see now that it's snapping to a grid, and we can override that grid, and this goes with any movement or editing in Melodyne by holding down the Alt key, so that'll move freely. So maybe I want to just cycle this area to work on that phrase, for example, and then we can double click it to turn it off. And to control the resolution of the timing grid, we go to the right here. We can turn it on and off with that, and then right click to get a menu of different rhythmic values, or we can do it in seconds. I'll leave it at quarter notes for the moment. Now we can also control the display here from under the options menu. In Note Editor, we can view the pitch curve, which we're viewing now, and there I just took it away, but we'll see the actual shape and contour of all the inflections between the notes. Then there are note separations, which give us lines where each note separates. I'll leave it on for now so we can see what we're working with. We have blob info, which shows the pitch, a reference note of each of those. Intended notes is great, and this pertains to the notes on the grid here, which I'll get to in a moment. And the replace range, which indicates that it's going to show what's been transferred from the DAW, and we can monitor when editing the blobs. Now let's talk about the pitch scale over here. We can turn it on and off with that, and we can quantize any note movement to a specific scale and key. And it's automatically detected D flat over here. And it's kind of sort of right. The chords alternate between E flat minor and B. I think of it more as B major. The notes are not dissimilar from D flat, but I'm going to switch it just to show you how to do that. We click this little double number icon on the bottom, and we can adjust the tuning reference. But we can also use this to set the root note, and I'm going to click on B over here and set it to B major. And then we can click here and change the tonality if I want it minor or any of these other scales. And there's some complex editing for the notes used in the scale, but let's leave it at B major for now. Now that we have the basics down, we'll start editing in the next video.